Well, had a business administration undergraduate degree, and I had a close friend of mine whose father at that time worked in the Secretary of State's office in Atlanta, and he and I were good friends. And one day we were talking about we were fixing to graduate and go up to Georgia, and talking about what do you think we ought to do after we graduate from college. And we talked about, well, maybe we ought to go to law school. And I had an uncle who practiced criminal law in Chicago and was right successful. So I guess in the recesses of my mind that kind of always intrigued me. And when we talked about it, of course, I thought, well, that might be a good thing to do. So that's how I ended up going to law school. I guess kind of halfway backed into it back in those days when you kind of wandered around wondering what you were going to do before you picked a way in life. But turned out to be a nice thing. I kind of adopted Augusta as my home because, as I mentioned earlier, when I moved here, I was rather young and everybody was so welcoming. And so I decided this would be where I would put down my roots. And one of the ways of giving back to the community was through not only practicing law and helping people out, from which you derive a great deal of pleasure, at least I did, but also to somehow help with the profession. And I served for 6 years as Recorder's Court judge while I was practicing law, and then for 17 years as juvenile court judge for Richmond County until my appointment to the bench in '97 by Governor Miller, which of course is a full-time position. I gave up my practice of law after 30-something years. So it kind of is a way of me giving back to the community that's meant so much to me, quite frankly. And that's how I became a judge.